If you've been following my content for the last few weeks, or if this is the very first time you've heard of me, welcome. Over this last month, I've been focusing on bedtime battles, not because bedtime is inherently bad, and not because mums or children are doing anything wrong, but because bedtime is often where the pressure builds. The pressure to do it right or make it look a certain way. The pressure to force tired evenings to fit an idea of how bedtime should go. And when that picture doesn't match reality, which it rarely does, everyone feels it. In the past few weeks, we've explored a lot together. Why children often struggle most at bedtime, why guilt and resentment can creep in for mums who care deeply, why overgiving and second-guessing yourself as a mum can become a habit, especially when you're exhausted, and why it can start to feel like your own needs and your children's needs are in competition. And for many mums, something shifts when they finally see those patterns. There's more understanding, more compassion for you and for your children, and more clarity. And still, bedtime can remain hard. And this is what I really want to highlight today. Understanding doesn't automatically remove the emotional weight of actually doing bedtime. Because you can know why something is happening and still feel unsure, depleted, or torn when it's actually happening at 8:27 p.m. and everyone's tired. Insight on its own doesn't give you somewhere to rebalance yourself or someone to reflect with and make sense of your feelings, or support and encouragement while you practice responding to your children differently. That's often the missing piece. This month hasn't been about fixing bedtime. It's been more about noticing where we're trying to force bedtime to fit an idea that just doesn't match real life. And this idea may have come from what bedtime was like when you were a child, or something you've read or been told or seen on social media, or just an image of calm that doesn't account for the way that children are and the reality of exhausted parenting. And when we try to force that picture onto a family reality that can change from day to day, it creates strain, both for children and for mums. So let me offer you an alternative image. Imagine going into bedtime, knowing you don't need to get it perfect, that you're allowed to adapt, and that you trust yourself to make kind, clear decisions, even when the situation might look different from day to day. Imagine bedtime not suddenly becoming easy, but feeling a little simpler and a little kinder. Not because you found the right routine or there's a specific strategy, but because you're more confident in trying different approaches and assessing how they work for your unique family. And I want to be really clear about something here, because I don't believe there is one correct bedtime approach. Staying until your child falls asleep can be the most loving choice. Leaving can also be a loving choice. The problem usually isn't what you choose. It's when you're trying to make those decisions while exhausted, while second-guessing yourself, while holding everyone else's emotions, and with no space to reflect or recalibrate. That's when bedtime starts to feel like a test you're constantly failing. What I support mums to do isn't about following a formula or implementing specific strategies. Instead, it's about softening their approach to how bedtime is meant to go and responding instead with clarity and compassion and self-respect to what's happening in the moment. To trust themselves, to tolerate uncertainty, to hold boundaries kindly and without guilt, and to care for themselves without it becoming a battle between their needs and their children's needs. And this is where the Calm Mum community comes in, because insight is powerful, but lived change happens with continuity and support. Inside the community, mums have a place to bring their real, specific bedtime struggles, to think out loud without judgment, to steady themselves when doubt creeps back in, and to practice making calm, connected decisions over time. It's not about perfection or rigid routines, just support, perspective, and space to figure out what's right for you while you do the important work of parenting. So if you've been hovering, watching, listening, nodding along, this is the week to step in. The early joiner rate for the Calm Mum community is £22 per month, and that rate is locked in for as long as you remain a member. That early joiner window closes soon on 31st of January, after which the price will be £37 per month. If you are ready to move from understanding bedtime to feeling more confident living it, I'd love to welcome you. The link is in the description. You don't need to try harder and you don't need to force anything, and you deserve support while you do this.